What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have NIO's earnings coming out, not to mention more geopolitical news that could be affecting how the market's going to be moving. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, as far as NIO is going, as you guys can tell, we're making higher lows so far, so we're doing a good job. But I want to see if we can break past this 4.84 area to continue this push. If we can't, it's not going to be a good sign, so we'll just have to see how this goes. But keep in mind, as far as NIO is going, we're starting to see some more buyers who are attempting to step in. And we do have their earnings coming up very soon, so that's going to be very important. So the market saw a very, very flat day today. Some stocks were in the red. If you guys look at our futures and ETFs, they're somewhat in the red, but the market still is range bound. We haven't lost critical support to turn bearish. And we had a very, very flat day so far. But one thing worth mentioning is that for tomorrow, we have NIO announcing earnings before market open, and that's going to be very, very important for them because it's going to give them a lot more decisive, plans, at least for the future, because it's going to be helping investors know what they're planning on doing, what their margins are looking like, how their sales could be looking for the year, and that's going to have a big effect on us. So get ready for that sales forecast. And simultaneously, we're going to be looking to see if they can meet revenue expectations. We're expecting about $2.7 billion in revenue with a nice improvement to the EPS. Now, there could be a slight loss per share, of course, but that's going to be a big improvement compared to the $1.03 loss for the full year of last year. So we're expecting like 42 cents per share or a loss of 42 cents per share. For cash flow, it's going to give us a lot of insights about how their positive cash flow is looking. Are they burning more cash or not? And it's going to be very important for them, at least moving forward. So we don't have too many ratings. Almost everyone is saying to just buy or hold on to your NIO shares. One analyst is saying sell. So that's what different analysts are saying. I can't wait to see what they announce during this report. We'll see what happens with their sales and such. For other pieces of news, keep in mind that as far as NIO is going, we're still trying to hold up. We got this sell off today, which is not really a surprise after some news that came out. With that happening, with the whole market kind of selling off a little bit, that's no surprise. We still have this gap to fill down here, so we could decline a little bit more, but we'll see if we get a big bounce not approaching our earnings, because this once again resembles kind of like an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. So I'll see if this does get some kind of breakout. Now, for the whole market, the market was still responding to what Jerome Powell was saying. He mentioned that the inflation that comes from the inflation that may come from President Trump's tariffs could actually be transitory. He also went on about how the Fed is very uncertain and they're not really in a rush to cut. So some things he said were, bullish for stocks. Other things were bearish, and that's why we saw a very, very nuanced reaction. We're also waiting to see what happens with this Russia-Ukraine ceasefire deal as the countries are negotiating, with President Trump speaking with leaders on both sides. So that's something worth mentioning, at least for now. We'll see how this goes. If there is some kind of deal that comes out over the next week or so, that could be bullish news, but we'll wait for that. Nike also announced earnings. They beat on EPS and revenue. However, their overall margins did fall by about 3.3% to about 41.5% lower than expectations. And then we also saw their overall direct sales drop 12%, and then the wholesale revenue fell 7%. So just keep that in mind. We're seeing decreases here and there. As far as the fear and greed index goes, currently extreme fear is making up the majority of sentiments. Momentum is also at extreme fear. We're also seeing the puts call option ratio at extreme fear as time is going on. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, if you look at SPY, we actually have a lot of option expirations coming out for tomorrow. We actually have about very, very close to 1.9 million of these calls expiring. But then we have over or almost 4 million of these puts expiring. So it's about a 2.05 put to call ratio. So just keep that in mind, guys. 580 is max pain. There's 2 puts for every call expiring. Will that lead to some kind of squeeze? We'll see about that. For NIO, we have kind of like an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. We do have earnings, which is going to be the next big thing to affect us. So if earnings do not go well, we could be looking for a break below 4.5. If they do go well, we could be looking for a full recovery move back up into the 5s, and we could continue to fill the gap and push like this. I do see the potential of an accumulation that could be forming for us to try to push higher, but it depends on earnings. So I'm hoping that NIO does well, and we have good guidance for their sales, which could be bringing us back above the $5 area. Now, for the broader markets, SPY has a nice inverse head and shoulders like pattern. The daily chart's also showing some life right here, but we need confirmation first. I want to see it get back above at least 568 on the daily. We need to close above that. If that happens, we're looking for 574 as our next potential target. And then if that breaks, we're looking for 580. If we end up losing this low right here at 559, we could turn back down, but there's no sign of that. And we still look a little bit more bullish. For Coinbase, we're trying to make higher lows. We'll have to see if we can break past 485. If that's the case, we're looking for a bigger pump. If we lose 474, we could turn back down. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, we have like a double bottom, and we're trying to form this nice accumulation. So we'll see if that breaks or not. For the Russell, we have to see if we can break past 208. If that breaks, we're looking for a bigger push. If not, we could be rejecting. So we'll just have to see how it goes from here. So keep that in mind. For ES, we're making higher lows right here. So I think that with this accumulation, we're looking quite good. And if anything on the 4 hour, I think we're looking decent. We're just going to try to ride this higher for the time being to try to get back up to about 5,800. We need to see this hold for this to continue. If we end up losing 56.50, we could turn back down, but I'm hoping this tries to hold up. So we'll watch that very, very closely. On NQ, we're making higher lows. This is trying to trend towards 20,000. If we lose support, we could be dipping to about 19,500. So just keep that in mind. For Bitcoin, we're making higher lows right here. I would like to see this hold up so we could continue to uptrend. If we lose 84,000, we could dump back down. So we'll see about that. For now, we're doing a good job. For Nvidia, we look quite bullish, especially on the 4 hours. We have an inverse head and shoulders. As long as 117.9 holds, we're looking for an attempt for 123. If we end up losing 114, we could dump back down. But I think that this is looking quite solid for more upside. Tesla's in the middle. We're completely stuck right now. We haven't broken supported resistance. We're in a very, very tight wedge. So we'll just have to see if we could get back above like, the 242 area to really start pushing it, or if we end up losing support at 228 to dip. Otherwise, we're kind of stuck in the middle. So look for a little push here and some consolidation. So give that some time to develop. On Aapl, if we break past 215, we're looking for an attempt to push for 218. If we end up losing 211, we could turn back down. So we'll see how it goes. For coin, we're trying to make higher lows right here. So we're actually kind of like in a range. We have this resistance around this 195 area, and we have support down here around this 180 zone. So we'll see how it goes as we're range bound. We'll also see if we could break past 196 to push even higher. So give it some time. Overall, I think we're doing a fantastic job. For Amazon, we're completely range bound, going back and forth between supply and demand. If we end up losing 191, we're going to turn back down. If we break past 199, we're looking for a push. I think we continue to consolidate. There is some bad news coming up from the FTC, but overall, we're just range bound. Meta has to hold this low right here. It's not looking too good. We kind of pushed and rejected. We need to see this hold around 580 to bounce, get back above 593. If not, we could be dipping lower, so we'll see how that goes. For Microsoft, we're also range bound. I want to see us break past 388. If that breaks, we're looking for 392. If we end up losing 382, we could also dip lower. We're just kind of stuck right now, so give it some time. For Google, we want to see this break past 165.74. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt to go higher. If we end up losing 162, we could be dipping. So once again, we're also completely stuck here. So we're waiting to see how the market responds. We're just range bound for now. I do want to mention the VIX is showing some weakness, which does imply there could be a bit more upside for the markets, but we're just going to have to wait and see. So will the VIX continue to downtrend towards this imbalance over here? Will the market continue to push a bit higher, or does the VIX bounce? It all depends on tomorrow. We could go either way, but the VIX does show some weakness in the market. Looks like it wants to bounce. And hopefully NIO gets a bounce with its earnings coming out, so we'll see how that goes. So get ready, guys, for NIO's earnings, and also get ready for what's about to come with all these different charts. There's a lot coming to the markets, so just be prepared, guys. And I thank you all so much for listening. So have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for listening, and peace out.